Okay, part 2.
Right. So yeah, we left off exactly where we stopped. So that's great. I think I saw you, was it you, Joe? I've seen quite a few of these Windows spies, Windows controls, and there's been some quite advanced ones people have created over time. And this one has interesting functionality with being able to move and transparent the windows. But I at least know that at different points, different Windows spies have been included or have been promoted, or whatever you'd call those. Some that had crosshairs you could drag, and some that was able to show the control list. And so yeah, there's quite a few of these Windows informational tools out there, and they can really come in handy.
Yeah, I made that, what was it called? Simple Spy, I think. And it was because, and I almost mentioned earlier, Jack, when you were showing the built-in Win Spy tool from AutoHotkey, because there's so much other stuff in there, right? And like when you're new to this, it's a bit overwhelming. And so the tool I wrote, really limits, you see the class I'm in, you see like the text, and the number, but it doesn't have a lot of other stuff. But we borrowed from the Win Spy tool, I think it was Alchemist had written it, and it, like the one, is it Dimitri that's sharing this, had created, had amazing amount of other things that you could do, like messages, I mean, there were so many other things that was built into it, which can be really, really helpful. But,
yeah, one of the things that I've liked from these Windows spies, some of them, is the ones that actually outline the thing you're pointing at.
It is nice. Yeah.
For some reason, I do like that part, and not, yeah, exactly. Because for some reason it makes it easier to understand that, yeah, a window can have text under text under text or whatever, but it might still be different controls or different text fields or different static labels or whatever it might be.
Yeah, one tool, and I just I haven't had time for it, but I want to create, is a tool that will allow you to use like crosshairs, like you described, Jackie, drag it onto a program, and then it would say, it's going to have a hierarchy built into it. And if it's a COM program, it's going to say, hey, you should use COM, go use COM. It's not going to use it. The tool isn't for writing code. The tool is just to tell you your probably best approach, right? And maybe rank order them and show, you could use COM, or you could use the ACC library, or you could, use controls, but rank order them to help people understand this is probably your most robust way to go. Here is your last resort of sending keystrokes or, finding a picture.
Yeah, probably useful.
You can even add some commonly used commands to test some things out, if you want to go further with, yeah.
Yeah, ideally it'd be nice. It's just, having the time to create such a tool, because with the ACC library and the UI automation, while there's some libraries on the forum, about them, there's some tools for displaying the stuff, but there's none really for, here's how you click this thing, here's how you get the, very specific way to get the commands you can send to them.
Who in their course of learning hasn't sent down arrow key like 12 times and then press enter?
Yeah.
Fair enough.
See, that's a way to do it, but eventually it's going to fail because, there's a user on the computer touching the keyboard or something.
Yeah. A dialog pops up and takes input focus or whatever it might be.
But still, in some cases, that's the easiest way to accomplish it. Yeah.
That is right.
Something to share, something to test, something. Big dude, you have something to brag about?
Oh, he muted us. No, but yeah, I'd say the reason we didn't go in with robots and then started making the shell hook or something else to keep listening for a specific window, anything like that, there's no reason to try and start there. Better to go with the loop or go with the timer, just because it's something that you have a chance of grasping and extending on with whatever level you have. And then over time, so that's also why when people come to the forum and says, I have this Excel script or whatever it is, and then they post your script and it would be 12 arrows down and enter. What most helpers do is start inquiring what it is they're really trying to do in the hopes of giving them more robust code. Instead of saying you need more sleep between your arrow downs, right? It's something that.
Hey, Jackie, I want and someone had commented on my YouTube channel of something they had done in Excel, and I don't remember honestly the name of who it was. I don't think they're someone that's typically in the webinars, but they're like, yeah, check out what I did. And I don't mean to knock what they did, because I see a use for it. And let me explain here briefly. They were using Excel, and then they want to, like, the example that they did in the video was they used it in Excel, and then they were constantly copying different cells in Excel and posting it into a web form, right? Well, they weren't using COM at all. But they did create like an array for the clipboard that would grab the contents in each cell. And that was one thing I was going to say. I'd rather use COM for getting that content, but whatever. But they parsed it, and then they had basically a hotkey, in which again they used the F1, F2, F3, F4 keys, which I would never use. Whatever, who cares, right? You can change them to have access to each of those cells from the clipboard. Does that make sense? So each cell.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
And I'm like, as much as I didn't like the programming approach, I was like, I gotta admit, I could see, I wouldn't do it because I know more with web scraping and how I would approach it. But I thought it's not a terrible solution for a lot of people, because it's pretty straightforward code, right? In what he's doing.
Yeah, he's grabbing, it's probably not something dynamic, right? It's a one-time run the code. It will grab the, let's say, 10 different values and then store them in a variable that you can then recall with F1, F10, whatever. I've used that back in the day when I started, because I was doing exactly what we just described. I was taking information from one window and putting it into another. And my beginnings of that was to look for some kind of clipboard manager. I wanted to be able to store more than one value from one window, and that was the way I found AutoHotkey. So one of the first things I had was Control-1 would copy it into one, and Alt-1 would then paste the value in one. And that worked. And then I extended it from there, because the manual task of actually switching windows seemed weird when I was automating all the rest of it. And then instead of me saying Control-1, switching field, Control-2, I could just add a tab at the end, and it would switch to the next field, and 2 tabs, 4 tabs, a number of downs, and then a wait when active, so on and so forth. It works. It's a great way to learn if you have a task that you can build upon.
Agreed. Yeah, there's nothing, and to Sean's point too, we've all done different levels of code at some point, right? We don't start at the top. And I do, like, I think in the webinar I've shown you one of my favorite scripts where I had a lot of stuff I needed to delete on the web page, and I was gonna do web scraping, do all this stuff, and then I realized if I just click the first one and then like hit tab, and then drop down to the next row, and I hit the space bar, it'd be selected. So I put those two things in a loop, you know, and I'd run it, and it would just basically select all the things I wanted to select, which is what I was needed to do. And I'm like, holy cow, I was done in 30 seconds, you know, instead of taking minutes to write code. And it was very reliable. It was kind of crazy how reliable it was. I thought it would not work, you know, it would get off center or something, but it didn't. It was great. And again, it was only going to be run on my computer. I'm running it. You know, it's not something I distribute probably to a lot of people, but.
No, I've had quite extensive pieces of code that was sending up, downs, enters, shifting back and forth that I could leave alone and go to lunch or whatever, because it was on my computer. I would start it and make sure that the environment it was interacting with was controlled. It worked, but a few times it would hiccup because of a dialog or whatever it might be, window crashed or what it could have been, right? Whereas some of the other more reliable methods might have been added in over time. But yeah.
Hey, I actually have a question pertaining to some of the code you were doing earlier, and I just realized, you know, it's one of those things I've never really looked at thoroughly. I think you mentioned at some point, Jackie, that we weren't looking for hidden windows.
Yeah.
Possibly so. Now, a hidden window that's not just a minimized window, is it? Is that something different? Or is
That's
that
something different. Because here, for example, I have a small radio button to also show the hidden windows. Because most of the time you're not interested in them, but yeah, they could have some interest.
But in AutoHotkey, is that what the hidden window is referring? You know, when you say search for hidden windows, is that truly it, or is it something else?
It's that. It's the visibility. You have some windows that just don't have graphics on. And you can also, with this program, you can even show them, make them visible. And sometimes you get some weird, very old looking window style. If you do those things, it's quite funny, but
yeah.
You cannot use them a lot. But I have here a filter to say, yeah, it's not interesting for me, and most of the times. And this is a filter to ask if it has a title. If you have sometimes windows without any title, and most of the times also those don't really have any meaning. So I filter them out.
Everything on Windows, a process has a window. But not all processes have a graphical user interface. So it might still have a hidden window, even though it doesn't have any kind of graphics to actually show you, because that is how Windows handles them. Recently, and I'm saying recently, and might be a year or two ago, I don't remember, there was this issue with Windows 10 adding in the virtual desktops. And when a window is on another virtual desktop, the window might still be visible. It might still render its graphics. But for the user that is now using, let's say, virtual desktop 1, for him, that window would be cloaked. It wouldn't be hidden because it actually has graphics. But the way that AutoHotkey at that point was handling hidden windows and that style that the windows have when they're hidden and stuff like that, it was detecting them the wrong way. So Lecticos actually added some extra code into how AutoHotkey handles hidden and non-hidden windows.
Cool. I'm glad it was more, I figured it was more advanced than just that. I just had never actually read up on it. And confirm, you know, tell me if I'm right on this one too. generally speaking, we don't turn them on because it just means you're searching through more crap. It'll slow down what you're doing.
Yeah, or it doesn't actually have any kind of useful information for you as a user. You could create a hidden or a GUI window, but never show it. You could create it full of all the controls you would like and all the edit fields and stuff like that. But without a GUI show, the window would remain hidden. It would exist, but it would be hidden. You could still send control commands and whatever and grab graphics from it if you wanted to, but to Windows and to the user, the window would be hidden. It would still be able to do all of what you wanted it to do. It would just not be rendered to the user.
Cool.
If you make a GUI with AutoHotkey and you do not show it, then it doesn't exist, I think.
You need to at least show it the first time for it to actually create it.
Yeah.
But you can show it hidden.
Yeah. Okay.
Sorry, that corrects me. You can show it hidden. Okay.
Yeah, it's just because the command is show, but yeah.
Actually, the command it would be even more logical to call it create because you create the window.
You can create a new window by saying GUI new, and that will actually create the window, and then you can add controls to it. But a lot of people simply just write lines of GUI add, button GUI add text, stuff like that. But the window doesn't actually exist until the GUI show command. But if you do GUI new, then it should actually exist.
Okay.
Cool. Did anybody else have anything they wanted to work on? Dale, I know you often have stuff. You got anything you've been working on or questions?
I actually have one more question. Yeah, I don't have the script here on my computer, but it's a script that opens a lot of Excel files and folders and inserts pictures and fills in cells and checks other cells that does calculations. And sometimes it just goes into an error. When it, for example, want to connect to a sheet, is there some kind of a solution? Should I add a sleep, or what is your advice when opening and closing a lot of Excel files? And because if I run it, most of the times it runs okay, and then sometimes just on a certain moment it just crashes. And that is also I would like it. Find it interesting if AutoHotkey would have some option when it crashes that you could say rerun that code, that line, and just continue the code, because I think most of the times it would work.
You have the try, catch, and finally commands where you could handle situations like that, but you would still, within reason, need to know that it could happen with a specific line or piece of your script. Because at least if you're doing it with COM, that the try command would be able to catch crashes within reason.
Yeah, that's also something I use, but it's really random, so it's hard to predict where it crashes.
If it's some kind of unhandled, unexpected code crash somewhere, if the program crashes, it's most likely, the other one, the one you're trying to control. If that crashes, then the program itself has given up handling whatever happened, and then it's probably unhandleable. Then you can only have a contingency plan or whatever you'd call that, where if this program never comes up and runs completely, then do something differently. But again, if the program can't even handle it itself, for you to take over and try and do it, that would be hard.
Yeah, okay. But it's not really that big of a problem if it sometimes crashes. It's too useful to not use it.
The biggest problems I've had with Excel is just if you already have the file open somewhere, you know, that's where I'll have issues, you know, especially if you're in a cell, right? But I'm pretty sure you're not doing that. That COM won't connect to it. And the second one.
That's indeed something that's sometimes quite annoying. If you're editing a cell, then it also fails.
And then the other one, which I doubt this is any of it, but I've had problems with stuff when files are saved under Dropbox and I'm trying to work with them. And I'm hammering, you know, my hard drive, that it had issues with accessing files. It's not necessarily an Excel thing, it's just the Dropbox thing.
Yeah, I use SharePoint, but I do not think that's really I have the impression that's not really the issue in my case. Most of the times it opens quite well.
Yeah, of course, without actually seeing the error happening, it's hard to give you exact advice, because is it happening after Excel, the process of Excel, the Excel window has opened, and when Excel is trying to open the workbook or a specific sheet? Or
actually the Excel is open, so that was opened correctly, and then when it wants to access the active sheets, it fails.
So the sheet actually exists but cannot be made active?
Yeah, it cannot actually tries to connect to a sheet with a certain name. I'm sorry, I explained it wrong. I tried to connect to a sheet with a certain name, and on that code it fails.
Okay, so for some reason AutoHotkey can't access the names, or Excel hasn't yet exposed the names, or something in between there, so that you can't actually interact with the sheets by name? Is it something like that?
Yeah, but I'll try to record it, and then I can show you do it next time. I think that's more the.
Yeah, I would definitely throw a try catch in there, and
yeah, I tried it, but then it fails in sometimes in another line.
Yeah.
And it's also not that good to put all your code with try catches all the time. That's also not, yeah, that would be a little bit crazy.
No.
Okay.
Thanks, Victor.
What's your take, Joe? Do we have any more? Anybody else?
I think we're good. Does anyone else have anything? I know Dale had to run, but he didn't have anything obvious.
Yeah, I'd like to ask a question.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been working on, and I'm not a programmer no programming knowledge since 30 years ago. And so I found AutoHotkey, and I'm trying to get it to where I work for a call center, and we make tickets, and we do the exact same call. I mean, some of the calls I took the exact same call 5 times today. Oh. But the way our ticket system set up, you literally every time have to do the exact same steps over and over and over and over. So I've went in and I've watched a lot of Joe's videos, and in fact, I have 2 of his courses, and Clive Reborn, and he showed you how he was doing how to do the GUI and set up buttons. So I've got all these buttons set up, but now what I want to do is there's two fields that I've got, a description field and an issue field, and I want to find a way that once all the stuff is in that, I can click a button and it copy and paste it so I can put it in the ticket. Does that make any sense?
Within reason, of course. You probably can't show us, right?
Well, I can show you the code I've got. I can't really show you the screen that we use to create the tickets because that's the hospital's, you know, stuff.
Fair enough. If you can show that code, that's probably
To start.
How do I show it?
At the bottom of one of your screens, you'll see of the Zoom screens, you'll see a share screen button. It's usually green.
Where's my Zoom? Okay, so Zoom Meet. Oh, did I just cut you off? I did something.
No, I stopped sharing.
Okay, so I'm in. I got the little Zoom button down at the bottom.
Well, there it should be the toolbar, right? And across the bottom, there's a green button called Share Screen.
Yeah, on Joe's image.
There's multiple screens, you know, Zoom windows. So,
right. So I'm clicking on Zoom, and I see your exit minimize video. So that's that. I got that, and then share screen. Okay, I see that.
And after you click it, you have to select the one you want to share.
There is. So now, can you see that?
Yeah.
So that's the code, and I've had some help with the AutoHotkey form how to make this work. And so I don't really, some things I'm trying to learn, but I'm getting to the point where it's falling into the right areas in the, you know, if you run that code, you'll see a kind of a blue screen with all the fields. And so I want to copy two of those fields. Do you need me to, can I run this?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, so you see where it says descriptions and issues?
No, you probably only shared a single window.
Oh yeah, I did probably so. So let's see if I can do that. New share. There. Now can you see that?
Yeah.
Okay, so this isn't all the buttons. There's going to be like 60 buttons here. But what's going to happen if you type in, you know, all this information here on the left-hand side and you click whatever button, then it's going to drop into this field what the issue is, resolution, and I want to be able to click a button and then copy everything from description to issues and then just go and paste it in the ticket. Instead of, because like I can copy and paste 5 different items to put into a ticket. And my goal is to save, and I was seeing someone up there that says you spend hours trying to save seconds, then you just get better. Well, that's kind of what I'm looking at. I'm kind of looking at saving 30 seconds a call.
Yeah.
But we have 20 agents on the phone. So if all agents can save 30 seconds a call, we take 30 calls a day.
Right.
That's a lot of man hours.
Yeah, sure enough. But what is the part that you are missing here? Oh.
Well, I can get, let's say if I put in, you know, someone gives me their name and a phone number and their ID and a computer name. If I click a button, see how it puts it in here?
Yeah.
Now I want to be able to take that and without having to copy and paste, just click a button and then go paste it into the ticket.
So you want to take a specific field or all the fields?
Just the description field and the issue field. Just these two.
Yeah, how do you want them to end up being output? Do you want them just to be in one?
One, you know, because I got to take those two and paste it into one section of the ticket.
Yeah, okay, so if you go back to the code.
Okay, share. Right.
So somewhere lower down in your script, you have here, I think you're there, maybe a bit up.
Go up a bit. Okay.
I'm just trying to read some of your variables here. So there's a title, there's description, and description is VE transfer 2, apparently, seems.
Yep.
And issues is E transfer 3.
Right.
So those should be used further down here. I see.
You want me to scroll down?
Yeah, just a bit, yeah. So here is the filling of the description, view transfer name. Okay, so here it's inputting the name, the phone. Okay, so that's one of your buttons probably. It's doing this.
Right, the transfer button. Yep.
Yeah. The next one is the template button.
Yeah.
Okay, so further down. Okay, so so the transfer button is using the control command to fill in the information, and you're adding to a single variable that's called description VUMC template. Yeah, okay. So your description VUMC template has parts of it, and the issues VUMC template has the rest of the information.
Right.
So those two variables in themselves have it, but do you ever go into the description or the issues and edit those directly?
Yes, it can happen. Someone calls up and their situation is slightly unique, so I may have to go in and change what the description says to more match why they're calling, but
Okay.
that doesn't happen very often.
Okay, so if you go up a bit, a little more, we need to find the template button there. The two buttons are just a little further up.
Okay.
Those two buttons there. So if we wanted to add a third button, just as the example here, if you copy the last of those two lines.
You want me to copy those two lines?
No, just one of them.
Control
Okay.
V would duplicate it for you.
Yeah, and then just, yeah. And if you change the G label there, the G vacuum template, if you call that something else, call it copy or something.
Like that?
I'm not saying that this is your final version. This is just, well, we're trying to help you get something. If
Right.
you put in, let's say, copy, and then call it that as well in the red text there. Okay, so now you have a button that will call the label VUMC copy. So if you go further down in your script here, and below the other two here.
Down below this?
Yeah, below that return there. And put in VUC copy colon. Yeah. So now you have a label that will be called when you click on that button.
Right.
So I would put a return below that. So yeah. So now it's not doing anything. So between those two lines, between the return and the label, yeah, here's where we'll put the stuff. So in this case, you will want to grab the content of those two controls.
Okay. So I'd want to go and get the content from description and issue.
Yeah.
Okay.
And in this case, those two controls are called e-template 2 and e-template 3.
Okay.
From what I'm seeing.
Yeah, that's up here. You're talking about right here.
Yeah. If you take the second and the third of those GUI control lines, just take the entire line.
I'll just take the entire line. Like that?
Yeah, and then copy it in at the bottom there. Because it's been some time since I last did this. GUI control get, I believe the command is called.
What's the command again?
GUI control get. So you need to add at the beginning there, GUI control and then get. The word, no, you had GUI control already.
Oh, okay.
So just add the word get at the end there. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And besides that, in the next parameter, just after the comma, put in a new variable name, something to do with copy content or variable one or whatever you like.
Can I do?
Yeah, that one is description, but hey.
Oh, I've already got that used somewhere.
No, that's fine. You can do that, but call it 1 or 2 or something.
Like that?
Yeah.
Okay.
So right now, what you have is you have something that for the first parameter there, that will be the variable that will hold the content of your description field.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes. Now, what I don't know is that if you look, I'm creating like one for every button, transfer, template, if I had a copy button. So will I do this for every button?
No, this is just for grabbing the content of the description text field and the content of the issues text field.
Okay.
But yeah, in for every for every button, you would probably create a label like this. Yeah.
Okay, and so that's what I've been doing. Every button, when I start this, I created like 60 buttons, and I start creating a copy of everything for every one. And I kind of broke it down just to make it easier because I'm getting some help from some folks on the AutoHotkey forum.
Yeah, I'd say sure enough, you can cram those things together more, but at your current stage where you're building a first version, there's no reason to use that much time on making your code small.
Okay.
But put in a comma here. Yeah, and after the second comma, if you move 2 commas, yeah, one to the next comma. Move to the next, to the right there.
So you want me to go even further right?
Yeah.
So there's where I have.
Yeah, I want there to be a blank comma space.
Oh, okay. So you want a space after the comma.
Yeah, but here where you have E transfer to, move
right
to the end of that, and then remove what's left or what's right of the cursor. Yeah, away with that. If I remember the parameters correctly, I should probably look into documentation. I'll just look it up here. GUI control get. Yeah, it's GUI control get. It's output var subcommand control ID. Okay, that should do it. Yeah, I think that should grab the content of your description field and put it into copy issues 1.
Okay, so copy issue 1, is that going to be like just going to the notepad and then I can paste it into the ticket section?
Right now, it exists in code and is a variable that we can now work with. So if you take the line that you have now edited and do the same for the next line. You can either copy the one we just did and change it, or you can change the line below it. Yeah, and then I'd call it copy issue 2 and e-transfer 3. Yeah, and then delete the next line there. Yeah. Now, if I was just doing a test, I would probably do a message box and show those 2 variables. But in this case, I think what we'll do is we'll put it into the clipboard. So if you type clipboard, yeah, and a space, a colon equal, space.
Now, what does the colon equal mean?
It means that what follows is an expression.
Okay.
And what is an expression? It is a way to structure code so you can have math, or you can have variables, or you can have strings with the right way of typing them in. So in this case, we can add 2 different variables to the clipboard. So if you type v copy issue 1, and make a space, and what's it called? A string starter, Joe, a quote? I think it's a quote.
Yeah.
Double quote, yeah. Enter a double quote, on top of the 2. Yeah, and within those, put, I need him to put in a new line, Joe. What's it called?
Tick mark.
Tick mark, yeah.
To the left of the 1.
Yeah.
Tilde, yeah. Just do it without shifting. There you go.
Yep.
Yeah, and then N. So what this does is it tells in code the script to put in a new line at this place.
So that's the return, right?
This is a new line. If it
Okay.
was a return, you would do the tilde with an R. That would be the return. But it will give you the same effect.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So now move the cursor to the right. Yeah, and a space. And then v copy issue 2. Yeah. Now I was about to call it the coup de grace, but this should hopefully work. If you save this and run it,
Okay, let me.
I'm not seeing any issue, but yeah, okay. So if you did as you did before, put in the name and the phone and whatever.
Well, make sure they're different.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you should probably be able to differentiate them.
Yeah.
Go ahead and.
Yeah, and transfer call. And if you now click on the copy button and open Notepad or go into the steps or wherever you want to do it and try to Control V to, paste.
Yep.
Yeah.
We can't see it, but
Yeah, I just pasted it into a Word document.
Mhm.
Wow, that's great.
So, and you could, of course, Control get from the solution or the title or the steps or whatever it might be, right? You can extend on that copy button if you want.
Okay, yeah, that is, just, the more I'm seeing this work, I wish I would have found this thing ages ago. Now, is there a way in a phone number to make that look, have the format of a phone number,
You could probably do stuff. I'm not sure over in the phone field you could do it, but if you wanted it to change shape in the description so that you had those what are they called, separating lines,
hyphen?
hyphen isn't that longer? No, probably doesn't matter.
Dash.
Yeah, dash. Yeah. You could do that in the code as well. Yeah.
Philip, have you ever heard of a regular expression?
No, I'm learning.
Yeah, they can be very helpful at parsing text and allowing you to put in periods or break them out, how make them look pretty.
And it's a regular expression?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I have. If you go to my site, I have probably 6 or 7 tutorials on them.
Okay.
There's a Jack Dunning has a really good AutoHotkey book on regular expressions, which is where
and I have all his books, and I'm trying to read through them.
He does a really good job of simplifying stuff and teaching you.
But what I watch is I watch it and I watch it again and I watch it again, and then I'm trying to, and then something makes sense. So now after this, I will go read and watch, and suddenly the light bulb will go off.
Right.
That's great.
Okay. Well, I appreciate this. It's really helpful.
Yeah. Awesome.
I see Dimitri put his code on the forum, so he shared it here in the chat. Anybody that wanted to grab it is I'll still share it in the links because I think I can't think of his name that was actually asking for it. I don't see him here anymore though.
Robert?
Yeah, right, Robert. But I'll still share it. So but anyway, yeah. Thank you, Philip. This is Jackie and I love this. It's honestly it's a little funner doing this, even though it's a little stressful especially for Jackie. He's doing stuff. But to be live solving people's problems, seeing that light bulb go off and go, wow, this is awesome, right? Learning how to tweak stuff. So
yeah.
Thank you guys for joining. We're running a bit late here. Thank you all for being here.
Thank you for the help.
Yeah, thanks, Jackie, for walking through that with me.
Yeah, sure.
Very cool. And we'll see you guys all next month.
Yeah, absolutely.
Take care.
Yeah, bye.
Bye.